What's up? I'm Brianna Ivy, and this is the Hear from a Student podcast. Edward, how are you doing today?
Bree, I'm doing all right. I'm prospering, making it happen. I'm blessed to be here. How you doing?
Get into it. I'm so excited to have you as a guest today. It's been so long since we've seen each other, and I'm really excited just to catch up.
Likewise, listen, Tech graduated fall 21, and we've been making it happen out here.
We've been moving and shaking since then. Okay.
We got to.
But let's catch the people up. Okay. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell us your name, what you studied in undergrad. We'll get to grad school. And where you're from.
All right. So hi everyone. My name is Edward Freeman. I'm a graduate of Georgia Tech, fall 2021, where I majored in biology and got a secondary degree in applied languages and intercultural studies with a concentration in Spanish language. And I'm from Cairo, Georgia originally. And yeah, I currently work in the biotech industry now.
Yes. All right. So let's take me back. We're gonna do a blast into the past. Let's see if we can remember this moment. When you were in high school and you were trying to decide what school you wanted to go to, what you wanted to study, which came first? The fact that you wanted to go to Georgia Tech or the fact that you wanted to study biology?
I would say biology and STEM came first.
Okay.
Georgia Tech came second. It came in addition to it because I did a college program at Georgia Tech, and I said, you know what? I like Georgia Tech so much, I want to go here. And that's
Yeah.
when I really put my full focus on headed to Tech. But I had a freshman during my freshman year, I had a teacher, and he was just great with my biology. And he was like, "Yeah, you're a very strong science student. You seem to take an interest in this. You should major in biology." And seeing how much I liked that, how
Yeah.
much I liked the DNA fragments, how the cells split, I was doing extremely
Oh.
well in my freshman biology class. So I said, you know what? This is something that I'm interested in. This is something that I want to pursue. And then going to Georgia Tech for a summer program during my 10th grade year, that kind of supplemented that dream and vision.
Interesting. Do they still have that summer program? Do you know?
They do, actually. It is called 21st Century Leaders. And it's for students, state of Georgia. So they send students to different campuses. I believe they have four, one in Emory, Kennesaw, Middle Georgia, and then Middle Georgia, Georgia State,
Okay.
Georgia State College in Milledgeville, and then they have one at Georgia Tech. So that program really transformed my life. It taught me a lot of professional development, but also introduced me to Georgia Tech's campus at 16.
Man, that's so good. I can't even imagine how it would have like changed my how I'm thinking about school to have been introduced to a college campus that early. Did you have any hesitancy about like fully committing to Georgia Tech since it was like an engineering focused school, or were you like, you know what, my summer experience was good enough for me to feel like I could really thrive here as a biology student?
You know what? The funny thing is, I actually didn't originally get into Georgia Tech. So I received a transfer conditional pathway where I had to attend somewhere else for a year. So I attended Georgia State for a year and then I transferred into Tech. As long as I met the requirements, they said it would be a conditional acceptance where they'll automatically have me roll over into Tech. So at first I was a little concerned I wouldn't be able to keep up with the rigor, keep
Yeah.
up with the coursework and everything. But once I got to campus, I did struggle.
Yeah.
I was right. I didn't have that foundational background, but
Yeah.
I had to figure that thing out and say, all right, you're on campus, you made it this far, so you just need to graduate.
Yeah.
And you need to just do what you need to do, lock in, get the resources that you need. And that's one thing I'm learning, even in grad school.
Mhm.
I'm learning, ask for help. Closed mouths don't get fed. If there's something that needs to be known, open your mouth. Ask. Ask the TA, ask the professor, ask your classmates, you know?
Agreed. How long did it take you to get to that point where you were like, let me start asking questions? Because for me, I almost failed count one before I was like, you know what? Because in high school, typically if you go to Tech, you're in the top whatever percent of your high school class, and you feel like I did high school with very little like need to ask for extra help. Now,
Mhm.
I feel like I should be able to do the same thing. So it took me almost failing calc before I was like, let me go find this professor. Let me go find this TA. So did it take that long for you, or were you like, no, immediate?
It took me that first semester. I had to drop linear algebra
Oh,
because I took Calc 1, Calc 2, and then I was fighting for my life because I didn't take any math to tech. So after taking linear algebra, I was like, yeah, I was like, no, I was gonna fail that class, so I dropped it. And second semester, I took Orgo 1, and I was fighting for my life with that. So I had to really buckle up, tighten up, and
mhm.
do what I need to do.
Man.
And it humbled me. That's when I was just like, yeah, you're sitting here struggling in silence when you could be going to tutoring centers, OMED,
Yeah.
the C2D2 tutoring center. I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but
Yeah, I know what you're
you
talking
know,
about.
you know what I'm talking about, going to
Yeah.
different tutoring centers on campus to get the help that I needed.
Yes. Man. Linear algebra, first of all, that was just, I thank God we got through that because that was not a fun time. And really, none of
Terrible.
it was a fun time, but linear algebra, I feel like was the math that was the most different. You know what I mean? Like it just was like learning a completely new set of stuff. The other math, you kind of put the pieces together, but linear algebra was like spans and it was a lot going on. So
And that's the thing I've realized about my education at Tech is a lot of things were applied. So it's like the knowledge that you study in a textbook, but you had to apply it to real world problems.
yeah,
And just working in industry and also being in grad school, I'm realizing I'm grateful for my opportunities that I had at Tech and learning I had because I can apply real world instances to not just, textbook knowledge.
yeah.
You have to actually get out there and get in the field, get your hands dirty a little bit. And I felt like Tech, even though it roughed us up, we ended up becoming diamonds in the end of it,
Yeah.
diamonds in the rough.
Truly, truly. What resources, you talked a little bit about this. What resources helped you like make that transition smoother going from Georgia State to Georgia Tech? Because I've heard horror stories from other transfer friends who were like, I did not come into what I thought I was coming into. This experience was not comparable to the experience I had in my other school. So what kind of helped you make the transition?
I would say for me, getting community.
Mm.
So finding community of transfer students and letting them know, well, them letting me know and me letting them know, we're not alone in this.
Yeah.
We're all in this together. And then also finding other students at Tech who understand where I'm coming from. They understand where I'm coming from. And building a community so strong around myself when it's like relate, grinding, doing what we need to do, doing work.
Yeah.
We're not suffering there because we're together.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing that pushed me over was having those people who were in the trenches with me
Mm-hmm.
day in, day out. The other thing I would say is asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
I learned it's not a pride thing because, like you said, when you get into tech, you're used to being that top tier. You're used to being that smart student who always got it right.
Yeah.
But tech, I always didn't get it right. Sometimes I failed. I failed miserably. I'm talking about 15s, 25s on tests.
Yes.
But I had to realize, all right, humble yourself a little bit. Go ask for help. Go talk to people. Because if you don't do that, then you're gonna suffer in silence. And that when you lose that hope,
Yeah.
hope was already lost, but you're gonna lose it for real, and then you're gonna be hurting. You
Yeah.
lose zeal, you lose hope, if
Yes.
you lose your scholarship, that affects things later down the line. That
Yeah.
pushes your graduation back. And that's how I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, you came here with a purpose. So you have to go ahead and allocate the resources and find what's available to you. And also YouTube University.
Come
Don't
on.
sleep on YouTube.
Come
Don't
on.
sleep
Get
on
into
YouTube.
it. YouTube
Oh
helped
yeah.
me through a lot of classes.
Listen, YouTube saved my life.
Come on. Sometimes I just need multiple people to teach it to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I need to hear this a bunch of different ways.
Organic Chem Tutor, Khan Academy.
Hey, it's
I survived off of them. The chemistries, general chemistries, I survived all those based on orgochemistry tutor
yeah.
on YouTube.
Yeah, I feel like that it's such a gem that I feel like probably will make college smoother if we learned it sooner. Like to just ask for help. Like it doesn't mean you're not as smart as anybody else. It doesn't mean anything about you. It just means that you can assess the situation and understand that you need help and that you need someone to help you understand what's going on. But it has nothing to do with like your intelligence. And I feel like if I had known that sooner, oh boy, I probably would have passed so many more tests.
And that's the thing. And oftentimes, when we walk into certain spaces, you know, we're black. And
Mhm.
oftentimes we feel like we're inferior to everyone else. But I had to remind myself, and that's something that I do constantly, is like I deserve to be in this room. I
Mhm.
worked hard. I'm here. I may not get it the first time, may not get it the second time, but doggone it, by that third time, I'm gonna get it
Come
eventually.
on. Come on.
It's like, you have to remind yourself of who you are and where you come from.
Yes, and this leads me into my next question. So typically, I've heard this uh response from like black women, but as a black man on Tech's campus, what was your experience like in your classes around the campus? And then how did you get to that point where you were like, let me remember who I am, whose I am, and how I got here?
Yeah, yeah, okay. So this is a two-edged sword for me. I'm mad tall. I'm like 6'3".
Mm-hmm.
So oftentimes, when I would first walk into a class, people wouldn't want to really work with me in a group. And I would face those microaggressions where people would just be staring.
Mm-hmm.
It would be kind of hard to work in groups. And I hated group projects because of that. But eventually it took me a minute to say, you know what? I don't have to prove myself to people when I'm already validated here and in my heart. So during class discussions, professor would ask a question. I would respond. I would answer. And then after people saw that I knew my stuff, that's when they were like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, really, I'm just trying to make it like you guys. We're
Mm-hmm.
all trying to get it together." So facing those microaggressions and those preconceived perceptions about myself,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough when you're in a STEM class, biology, chemistry, a calc class, and you may be one of three Black people in the class and you have a lecture of 75.
Yeah.
So you're sitting there trying to fend for yourself, and then, your counterparts are also fending for themselves too. So that's one thing. And then also with my height, it could be intimidating. So
Yeah.
I walk up to people, they're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
listen, I come in peace, none of that. Like,
I'm just trying to study, man.
I'm a gentle giant. Like I'm just trying to study and understand this concept. So that was my experience at Tech as a Black man. I would say it wasn't towards the later years. Once I got more established relationships with people in the classes, it got better of time. But initially, it was tough for me.
Yeah. I feel that I feel like my experience, I was so in my head that I didn't even notice if anybody else was like having any microaggressions toward me. I was just like, I remember, especially freshman year, when I walked into rooms, I was like, okay, they're already finna look at you because you black. So like, don't do anything to cause any more attention to yourself. I didn't really want to sit at the front. I like sat in the middle. I didn't really raise my hand. I didn't really answer
Yeah.
questions. I was like, I'm gonna just be small so people don't have to see me any more than they already seeing me. And then
But
I can't remember what class I got into, but them grades, I was like, you know what? I have to take control of my education because if I don't, it's not going to be good. And how can I take control? By being involved, by asking the professor questions, by
Mhm.
answering questions. And I remember we got a test back and I did not like my grade. And so I went and found the person in the class who broke the curve. And I was like, I need you to study with me
Yeah.
because I don't understand this. And I feel like that was my moment where I was like, I deserve to be here. I don't have to make myself small. I need to take control of my education and get the most out of it because I'm paying a lot of money for it. It's a lot of money to be here. So I need to make the
Yeah.
most of this and get my money's worth. So I definitely understand that. But I can't even imagine being a tall black man in these spaces. I feel like that's just an extra layer.
It's what I had to realize is, and you said something really profound. Like you were playing small, but then you had to open up a little bit more.
Yeah.
When we're in these spaces, we can't ever play small because that's what people want us to do is play small. We earned it. We worked hard just like they did. So it's like I remember just sitting in a class and I remember one girl, she was like, yeah, I don't know. They were saying that some people got in here because, they're black and, different things. And I'm just sitting there listening to a conversation. And this was one of my first classes at Tech. And I was just like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe, she's saying this
Yeah.
just openly. And I had to just remember, you're here for a reason,
Mm.
regardless. or the color of your skin on paper,
Yeah.
you're toe to toe with them.
Come on. Get
And
into
that's
it.
what that's what I realized, you
Yeah.
know, you can never play small because we're going to when you walk into a corporate space,
Hmm.
you're playing small. When you walk into any other space, a conference, presenting research, you're going to play small, but your opportunities and blessings may be on the other side of you playing big and seeing
Hmm.
yourself as who you're supposed to be seen as, you
Come
know?
on. Yeah. Very true. Very true. And then if you play small, they treat you small. So you got to
Hmm.
play big. So if you walk into the room knowing who you are, then people are gonna see who you are. But if you cover it up, people ain't gonna see it. So
And then be authentically yourself.
hmm.
Because if you're trying to put on, I mean, and there are certain instances where we have to put on a certain face in different settings, but I'm still going to be myself regardless of where I am because guess what? When I walk into that door, I'm me 100%. If you don't accept it, it's cool. But if you do, you know, we could be buddies. We can get this
Yeah.
A, we can make this, you know, we could pass this class. And
Yeah.
that's the mindset I had to make is okay, you're not looking at me, you're looking at the color of my skin. You're
Hmm.
not looking at me as a human being and my
Yeah.
intellectual capabilities.
Come
So I
on.
said, from there, I'm gonna go rock with the people who were, you know,
Yeah.
rocking with me in class. And that's how I survived tech.
Yeah. Come on. I love what you said. Because on paper, we toe to toe. I don't care what you looking at when you see me, but on paper, we
We
toe to
told
toe.
us all we all in the same room. And even with being in grad school now at Brown, and I had to deal with that imposter syndrome just being at Brown. I'm just like, oh shoot, like,
Really?
yo, you at Ivy League, like this is
Hmm.
kind of I was like, this is kind of big, you
You
know?
know, Ivy League.
And it's like I don't, you know, I don't really know people who were doing it like that. And it was
Yeah.
just when I first stepped on campus, it was kind of like that initial stun, like, wow, you're in class, people looking at you crazy.
Hmm.
And eventually I had to put in that same training that I had with tech and say, you know what? You earned it.
Yeah.
Now go prove, no, don't prove, but go show what you know
Yeah. Go walk in
and
what
go
you
work hard.
already know. Come on.
Yeah. So that's the mindset I have, and I think it's important to develop more students that way. So because college is a marathon, not a sprint,
Yeah.
and it's a mental thing. You have to be able to be mentally equipped. And you as an engineer, you know, engineering is not tough, easy.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah.
You got to be
So
mentally strong here. You have to have heart to get through it. You know.
yeah, you really do. Oh, this is so good. And then I'll make one more note about this, then we can go into academics. But when you talked about being your authentic self, I remember you heard me laugh. I have a pretty loud laugh. It's not quiet.
Uh
And I
huh.
remember I would like not want to laugh or like not want to find anything funny because I didn't want to laugh because it was loud and people was gonna look at me. But I remember like after I got into the mode where I was like, I'm just gonna be myself. I'm gonna, take control of my education. I remember when I would be in lab and I would be like joking and laughing, it just changed the vibe. Like now we not so miserable. Now we trying to figure out what's wrong with this circuit, but we can joke about it, we can laugh about it. So like
Yeah.
you never know the blessing, like you said, it's on the other side of being your authentic self. Because some of those lab sessions was 2 and 3 hours long, but because I was being myself, it changed the whole atmosphere of just being in that space for that amount of time. So yeah,
You get it. You get it. It changes. And sometimes if the atmosphere doesn't change, you have to change it.
yeah,
And it could just be by you being yourself, you being positioned in the room. And honestly, some of the people that I've met at Georgia Tech, lifelong.
yeah,
And had I not been myself, you know, we wouldn't have bonded so closely. So
exactly.
that's one thing I'm grateful for at Tech was my community of
Hmm.
people that we rocked through those classes, we struggled. You
Hmm.
know, some of us we cried, we thugged it out, but we got it done.
Hey, we got it done because some of those later engineering classes I was not getting through without my study buddies. It wasn't happening.
Listen,
Yeah.
and I don't even know how I did a double major. I had time to do a double major. I'm just
Yeah.
looking back at it, I was like, that's nobody but the grace of God.
Come on, because I'm finna ask you about that. First, I'm finna ask you what was like your favorite biology classes, and then what did like because we had a lot of projects and labs and like the engineering classes. So did you guys? I'm sure you had a lot of labs, but what did like labs and projects look like also?
So for biology, we would have a lecture component, and then we would have a separate lab. So it wasn't all the courses in bio had lab components, but a lot of them did. So we had like genetics, um, ecology lab, and we also had molecular cell biology, but that didn't have a lab component. Well, I think it possibly did, but it was optional to take it.
Yeah.
So for me, I had a bunch of lectures. So I took cell bio, genetics, um, intro to biology one, two. Even when I was at Georgia State, I took microbiology. Those are some classes that were very interesting to me.
Mm.
The labs were a separate component, and the labs were kind of beast in themselves. They weren't hard, but they were tedious work.
Yeah.
So I remember there was one class, it incorporated R coding, and we had to code. So we had to code our homework. And later on, I'm grateful for that because when I took biostatistics, we had to use the same method of coding. So have being introduced to things. One thing I liked about tech's curriculum is it built on top of each other. So
Hmm.
I wasn't just learning stuff to learn it. I saw it and applied it to a different class.
Yeah. Were those your favorite classes that you listed? Or some of your favorite ones?
Some of my favorite classes, but if I had a favorite class to go with, I would say cancer biology.
Oh, wow.
Cancer biology and biotechnology, that was the best class that I had. I also enjoyed my behavioral biology course. Those were the best two courses that I had.
What'd you learn in those classes?
Cancer biology, I learned about all the updated cancer techniques, how to detect cancer, all about cancer science,
Yeah.
different treatment methods, and then we had a research paper on cancer treatments using lipid
Mm,
gold particles or something like that to create chemotherapy.
yeah.
And then from there, it just really exposed me to the field of cancer, and that's something that I'm interested in researching.
Yeah.
And in behavioral biology was just about how hormones and pheromones and different chemicals and how animals react. So
Yeah.
this is including mammals as well. Um, so
Oh,
that course was very interesting. So I had a good I think I had a good balance of biology
good.
courses.
How did you do you feel like you had a lot of resources to support you as a biology student as you went throughout your coursework?
I feel like the Department of Biology is very strong at tech. I
Yeah.
feel like I felt supported.
Mhm.
It was more of my other courses like physics,
Oh,
computer science, where I struggled with because I'm not a traditional engineering student. So I took engineering physics. And then when I saw like static like problems, I'm like, yeah, I've never seen this before. And my
yeah.
engineering student said, oh, that's statics. I'm like, what's that?
Yeah,
you
for
know?
sure. Yeah. Okay, okay. That's good. I'm glad you felt supported. I have friends in like outside of the schools of engineering that were like, there could be more resources for us for like, when like career fairs and stuff come. So
That is true. I would say this, in terms of applying for jobs post grad, I had to figure that out on my own.
mm,
But I was guided quite well. I would say that, but most biology majors are guided towards a certain path.
mm-hmm,
So that's pre-medicine, that's pre-vet, PhD. So for me, I knew I wanted to go in the industry a little bit before I did go back to
mm-hmm.
school eventually, and that's what I ended up doing. But I had to figure out what that path looked like.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And I have to look at my notes to get this right. Applied languages and intercultural studies.
Yes. So
Now,
I majored. Oh, so
I
go
was just
ahead.
gonna ask, when did you add that major? And then what value do you think it added to you as a person and to your biology major?
I added that major over COVID. So
Oh, you was out here
yeah,
adding majors during the pandemic?
at my during my senior year at that, I added a double major. So my parents were like, this man is never gonna graduate. Like I remember they're like, boy, you need to just graduate. But ended up working out for me because I was doing a Spanish minor at the time, and I was supposed to study abroad in Spain. So, because of COVID getting canceled, some of my classes were canceled. So they said, you know what? We're going to drop the major requirement to study abroad, and we're going to just go ahead and go through with the major. So I was like, how many classes do I have for a full out Spanish degree?
Yeah.
I only had three and a half, no, 3 or 4 classes left or so. And I said, you know what? If I add an extra class every semester, it takes 16 hours. I said, I can get out of here
Yeah.
with 2 degrees. And that's what I ended up
Strategy.
doing.
Come on.
That's what I ended up doing. So I found a way. I knew my classes in biology were going to be very intense that last 2 or 3 semesters. So I found a way to supplement that with a Spanish class to develop myself in other areas because, with being a STEM major, you're very analytical. You analyze and pay attention to close details. But being a language major, it teaches me structure, it teaches me how to look at different not citizens, sentences citizens, wow, sentences, but it also taught me how to translate on the fly. So
Mhm.
that really developed my Spanish speaking skills, grammar skills as well in the language. Throughout my middle and high school, I did take Spanish. So by the time I finished at Georgia Tech,
Yeah.
I had taken Spanish for that was 5 years, plus 9 years of formal education in Spanish language. So
Yeah.
and the value I say it adds, it's opened up the door for me to travel,
Mhm.
interact with different people, different cultures, and also make friends and, connect over a different language.
Yeah. I feel like that is such a unique thought, I feel like, among STEM students to have that type of interest in culture to add to the STEM field. Because I feel like for some people it might just be like an interest, but you adding a whole major is really cool. That's great. And being strategic about it to be able to get out of tech in a reasonable time, top tier.
It was crazy when I did it, and I was like, are you serious? I was like, you just need to graduate.
Yeah.
But it took everything in me to finish that second major.
Hmm.
But I'm grateful I made that push because now it opened up the world for me.
Yeah. What organizations were you a part of at Tech?
So I was a part of ASU. I was on ASU's e-board.
Hmm.
Um, I did what is it called? Seed. So I was a part of P2, and I was a mentor for undergrad, like lower classmen, biology, life sciences majors. What else did I was a resident assistant at Tech.
Oh, you are.
Um,
Okay,
so I
for
was an
how?
RA, yeah, for 2.5 years. So where did RA? Harrison, um,
Mm.
and then North Avenue. So yeah, I was H8C. I think they changed it, but Harrison, Howell, and Cloudman. So
Yeah,
I was on East, and then I went to North Ave. So those are some of the orgs that I was a part of on
yeah,
campus. So I kind of kept busy during undergrad.
for sure.
Um, and then I dibbled and dabbled in things, but those are the main orgs that I was a part of.
Yeah, the ones that stuck. I feel like it's good to dibble and dabble in the beginning to figure out what you like, and then the ones that stick, they stick. And those are the ones typically that you're the most passionate about when they stick. So
Oh, and I forgot to mention, I was a student ambassador. I
come
was an
on.
Ambi. Yeah.
What? You
So I was a
can't forget
Georgia
to mention
Tech.
that.
Yeah, I should have. I did a lot at Tech, and it
Yeah,
just
no.
sometimes I forget what I've done. But I was an Ambi, my senior year at Tech.
Yeah. Did you have any misconceptions about what your majors of studies would be before you started school that got cleared up as you started going through the classes? Like, oh, I thought I would learn this, but actually I learned like this kind of stuff instead.
I would say, in a way, I was just happy to be there. So
Come on,
I
yes.
was just happy to be there. That's the honest truth. In a way, ignorance is bliss.
Get
So
no, say
ignorance
it
is
again.
bliss.
Because ignorance is bliss.
I didn't know what I didn't know going in, so I was happy to just be there. But once I started getting a grip on things, getting a hang on it, I said, you know what? I said, okay, now I'm learning things. Now I'm applying what I'm learning.
Hmm.
And I remember having my first internship in industry. I saw what I learned, and I was like, okay, I know my stuff. Like I know what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
But other than that, I was saying no. I didn't have any idea what I was getting myself into. It
yeah.
was just kind of like, you're here now. Hey y'all, how y'all doing? Let's get it done.
Yeah. Did you have multiple internships?
Honestly, I did not. I
Okay.
had only one internship during my senior year.
Did you enjoy it?
I did. I was in California. I worked in the Bay in biotech, and I really enjoyed. That was a great learning experience. And I would recommend internships to students
Hmm.
because a lot of times as biology students, life science students, we don't know that we can work in biotech or different industries. We just have to pursue those opportunities.
Yeah.
Look, do our research. And that was one thing that kind of shocked me was I was like, wow, I'm really in California working in pharma.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it took, I didn't have an internship at all, but that really helped me get into industry
Yeah.
starting off.
Did you pursue like a biotech internship, or did you just kind of say this looks like it'll be interesting, and then you kind of stumbled into it?
So what I ended up doing was I was on LinkedIn. I was like, I need to do something. I was like, I can't be in Georgia this
Yeah.
summer. And I said, I want to really do something and have some options to move around. So I just started shooting my shot on LinkedIn, letting that resume go everywhere, every which way.
Hmm.
And when I got something, got some interviews, got callbacks, and found out I was moving to California, I think that was April of that 2021. And then I moved to California that next month for 3 months.
Wow.
So, one thing I'm realizing, everything works out
Hmm.
for you. And for younger students, like everything works out when it's supposed to.
Hmm.
Like, don't even stress where you're at and you could attest to this. You know, we're sitting here and we're just overthinking a lot of things, but we just have to give ourselves time and be patient.
Hmm. Yeah. Don't think yourself out of opportunities. Like it's so many opportunities in the world. And the more you think and not to say don't, be wise when this in decision making, but don't overthink yourself out of something that could be so
Uh,
great for you?
and a lot of times when we're in our head, we psych ourselves out of applying for stuff.
Hmm.
And when I tell you, just apply, just go for it. You see an internship you want, you see a program you want to do, just apply because there's something on the other side of that fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
And that's one like mantra that I had to keep with myself while at Tech. Also keep with myself now at Brown is just apply. So I apply for stuff, I shoot my shot, and you know what? If I don't get it, I'm not gonna dwell on that for too long because I'm gonna say, you know what? There's something on the other side of this for me,
Yeah.
and there's something on the other side of my fear of applying. But if I don't get it, there's something on the other side of me not getting this opportunity.
Exactly. That just means there's better. I literally almost psyched myself out of my NASA internship. That's how deep your
What?
brain be against you. Your brain be a
What?
op. Your brain be your biggest op.
Thanks. No, your brain. Listen, your brain really do be your biggest op because it's like when you in your head and you in your feelings, you're gonna psych yourself out. Nah, I shouldn't do that. Nah, I shouldn't.
Exactly.
And it's just like, but you should.
But actually watching you, I remember like when I was psyching myself out about my NASA internship, I was talking to my mom. I was like, should I even be doing this? She was like, well, why shouldn't you? And I was like, now that
Why
you
not
asked
you?
that question, I don't have a good answer. Sometimes it's not, it's just be illogical, and you have to take a step back and like really come back to self and be like, why don't I deserve this opportunity? And you're not gonna have a good reason because you do deserve it because you have it, and that's on period.
Yep, and you're 100% right. You deserve all the opportunities that are coming to you. You work, you put in the work, you
Hmm.
do what you need to do. You have the character to maintain where you are. And also, what I had to realize is it's baby steps. There's levels to it. So
Hmm.
you're sitting there looking at all the big opportunities, but even if you get an opportunity, you never know what's going to bounce from that one opportunity. There's
Yeah.
baby steps, there's level to it. So you have to be able to springboard. Like, for example, at Tech, I started doing speaking engagements, but there was one speaking engagement, and then a few years later in my career at Tech, ended up doing TEDx Georgia Tech,
Hmm.
and I had to realize that's all preparation.
Yeah.
Like all of this is preparation. Even if you get an internship not at a big company,
Hmm.
somewhere started locally, it's all preparation for where you're going. You can't
Exactly.
look at where you're at. You got to look at where you're gonna go.
Come on, get into it. So, did you say what you did at your internship? Did you want to add that?
Yeah, so I worked in cell culture. And basically, I was working with developing cell and gene therapies working on different medical devices. Well, not even medical devices, but more like cell culture devices at a pharmaceutical company. So it was pretty fun.
Now, for somebody who has no idea what cell culture means, for cell culture for dummies, real quick, what is that?
So cell culture is when you have a group of cells intergrowing either in a flask
Mhm.
or a agar, which is a circular, it's a circular plate,
Mhm.
and you're able to track the growth of those cells. So what I was doing was I was growing up cells, testing their nutrients, testing their chemical capabilities, and then tracking their growth rates.
Okay.
And that was a great introductory internship into the biotech industry. And I worked in upstream process development.
Okay.
So that was a great experience for me. I'm grateful for my mentors, the people that I met at I worked at
Okay.
Bayer Aspirin, so Bayer Pharmaceuticals.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful for my mentors, the people that I met there. You know, that was pretty great. That was a great experience for me to get started in pharma
Okay.
and biotech.
Okay. For my own personal interest, what is upstream? What'd you say?
Upstream process development.
Yeah.
So, from my understanding, I guess it's working. From my understanding, it's working on the cell process side of developing therapies and medicines.
Okay.
So, a
Okay.
lot of medicines can be targeted through cell and gene therapies. So, the upstream is the further up, which is getting those cells ready to target and go in patient. So, it's
Okay.
the development
Okay.
process.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Last question about undergrad. What do you think Georgia Tech or graduating from Georgia Tech taught you about yourself?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say it taught me grit.
Hmm.
It taught me grit and how to get up and get it. And that's one thing, you know, there were so many times where dealing with the double major, having to work on bio courses and having to work on Spanish classes, I had to find that in between. And then I had to learn how to coordinate between those two. But it taught me grit because there were some nights where I have to work on chemistry project programs or write a research paper. And in being mentally exhausted, I also have to work on some Spanish grammar exercises.
Mm-hmm.
So pushing through two very different disciplines, it just showed me, you know what? If I can do it here, I can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful that Georgia Tech for the rigor of tech. You know, at first I was complaining like, "Oh my gosh, tech is just, you know,"
Yeah.
but
And
I
it is.
realized it is. Nobody's lying about it.
Mhm.
You know, tech. If you listen to this, I love y'all by the way. But needless to say, when people ask me about my experience at Georgia Tech, I tell them it was hard.
Mhm.
You know, it was some tough times. I had to retake a few classes, but there was something greater on the other side of it. I learned how to have a work ethic and get up and get it
Yeah.
because you had to get up and get it. Not saying you had to get it out the mud, but you had to get it out the mud if you wanted to make something out of yourself at tech because
Yeah.
it's that competitive, that hard. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
it's once you're in it, you're in it.
Yeah, exactly. I 100% agree with that. Oh man. Tech, it's like it was the best of times, it was the worst of times, you know? It's literally what tech was. It taught me so much. So much of who I am was cultivated at tech. So much of
Yeah.
how I learn and how I process as a person. Tech did a lot for me. Caused me a lot of pain, but it did a lot for me as well.
And on the other side of this, what I'm realizing after what is it, 2 years since we graduated from tech, is that I'm very well rounded and very well refined.
Yes.
Tech taught me to work with different people. That's
Mhm.
the other thing I'm grateful for my experience at Tech. At Tech, you have a lot of nerds who don't have great social skills, but you still have I mean, we're nerds too, so I'm not
Yeah.
saying nerds is like a bad thing, but
Yeah.
you have a lot of people with underdeveloped social skills,
Mhm.
and you have to still be in lab and classes with them.
Mhm.
So that's what I learned how to relate to different people. And then going into industry, going into grad school, you still have to work with people.
Mhm.
People are going to be people wherever you go. So
Mhm.
that's one thing that tech developed is those people skills and connecting with people outside of the classroom to do things better in the classroom.
Yeah. Very true. And a great segue when you talk about industry and grad school. So we graduate from tech, it rains, but we get out of there. Did
Mhm.
you know grad school was your next step? Or were you like, I'm gonna go into industry first and then grad school? And if you did do industry first, was there ever a point where you were like, do I want to go to grad school?
Yeah. Yeah. So, for me, I would say, what did I do? So I was applying for a bunch of different things upon graduated tech. I applied for Fulbright. I applied for jobs, internships, and I was just trying to figure out what I'm going to do because my plan was to take a gap year, but I wanted to know what that gap year looked like before I entered into grad school.
Yeah.
So I made it to the semifinalist round. Well, first, I went to Africa to see family for 5 weeks.
As you should
And,
have.
and it was, I should have, like, it was just the best experience ever. And I was still taking job interviews while in Africa.
Wow.
5 hours, 6 hour time difference, calling over to the States, people are like, what's that noise? It's like the neighbors' chickens were, cock-a-doodle-doo, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's so bad. But I was still taking interviews while in Gambia. And then when I came back to the States, I still took interviews. And that's when I found out from Fulbright, I got into the semifinals round. But at the same time, that next week, I got hired in biotech. So I was still fielding offers. So I said, you know what, I'm going to take that job and wait to see if I'm going to move to Spain. Didn't end up getting the Fulbright, but I stayed in industry.
Yeah.
And around that time, I was just thinking to myself, I was like, you know what? You like to learn. And that's when I applied to Brown because I saw Brown a lot would allow me to do the program part time, and then still be in industry. And I said, you know what? Let's try to go to Brown. It's a stretch, and I ended up getting in.
What's a stretch, said the Lord. Come on, get into
Nah,
it.
it's not a stretch. And you want to know what's funny? Everything, Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good for those that love Christ Jesus. So, what's funny is while I was on my way to Spain in November, I ended up getting accepted to Brown on my way to Spain.
Come on.
And it's funny because I didn't get accepted to Spain for the Fulbright, but when I was on my way on my flight, I got into Brown. So it just shows me like all things come full circle because I ended up going to Spain still, regardless,
Yeah.
in grad school acceptance. So that was kind of like my logic. I wanted to keep on learning and growing. And I said, you know what? You worked a full year in industry. And later on that spring, I started grad school. So I took a gap year unintentionally.
Yeah. That's such a beautiful showing of of just God's love. That's just so good.
Yeah, like, and now if I would have started shouting on that plane, the people would have been like, "Is he okay? Like, what is he doing?" I was like, "Jeez, I should have." But
Oh,
it just showed me that no matter where things look bad, like it's not gonna work, it always will work in some shape or form.
yeah. That's so good. Did what do I want to ask first? Okay, what do you still work at the same job in industry?
Mhm.
What
I
are you
still work in
doing?
industry.
What are you doing in industry right now?
So I work in clinical manufacturing for drug product.
Okay. And what program are you in at Brown? What are you studying there?
I'm doing a master's of science in biotechnology right now at Brown. And I'm halfway through my program. So it's been, as we rocking and rolling, we getting it done.
Yeah.
It's been pretty good so far. Really grateful for my classmates, advisors, and a lot of the things that I'm learning. This past semester, I took an intellectual property and biotech course, and we
Oh,
learned how to evaluate um, intellectual property for biotech companies, learned all the terminology, looked at different case studies, and
oh,
also
wow.
developed a pitch for a biotech company using different regulatory strategies to bring a product to market. So that was
Wow.
it was more the business side of tech.
Yeah.
Um, and I found it very interesting.
That's that sounds very interesting, actually. That's really cool. Are you also a part of orgs at Brown?
Yes and no. I'm a part of NABRID, which is the Black Student Organization,
Mm.
Black Graduate Student Organization. But that's pretty much it for the most part. I would say because working full time and then going
Yeah,
to school, I don't have time for much.
for sure. I get it. School starts for me on Monday, so I understand.
You understand?
Yeah.
Listen, uncle is tired. You
Oh
know,
man.
no, after I go to class, get off work, go to class, do my homework for the night, I take that shower. I be like, y'all, listen. I'm like, don't nobody text me, don't nobody call me. Phone on do not disturb. Uncle is done.
Yes, yes. What has your academic and social experience been like so far at Brown, and has it been comparable at all to Georgia Tech? You kind of touched on it using the things that you've learned at Tech at Brown, but
My academic experience at Brown has been quite smooth.
I love to
I
hear it.
was, I would say that that first semester was rocky because I was learning how to balance a full-time job
Mhm.
in, in grad school. But the second semester, once I got a hang of that thing, I was all good. So my experience at Brown academic wise is challenging, but I feel like because of my exposure at Tech, I've been able to really navigate and get in there and do what I need to do. Socially wise, I've made a lot of friends since at Brown. Social, I feel like I'm more social at Brown because it's such a small knit
Yeah,
community. So it's like I see the same people hang in the same crews. We see each other at events and we're all, very close knit. So I
yeah,
feel like socially wise, it's more once I started going to events, meeting people, going to org events,
yeah.
that's when I started getting more acclimated.
That's beautiful. So you have like a year, 2 more years?
I have a year, roughly a year left.
Roughly a year left. All right. So when future Edward graduates from Brown, what a great sentence. Where do you see yourself next? What are you hoping this master's level education takes you?
You know, that's a really good question. I honestly, I like being in biotech industry
Mhm.
a lot. But I wouldn't mind going back to school either.
Dr. Edward Freeman?
You know
Hold
it.
on.
So I wanna keep that door open. So I don't wanna just limit myself, being when you limit yourself to what you can do career wise, academic wise, you're stuck in this loop. And I said, you know what? Why would I limit myself when I can really push myself to be the furthest I could be?
Yeah,
So in terms of that, I'm not really too decided, but I will get there in due time, and I know whichever path that God has for me, I'm gonna be all right.
come on, because you will be. Is there what is like do you have like a niche inside of biotechnology, like something that you really, really like, that you're really passionate about?
Therapies, cell and gene therapy. So working with developing products for cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely anything that's working with like human clinical trials. I find great interest in that.
Okay. Okay. And last question about grad school. Is there anything grad school is teaching you about yourself that's different from what undergrad taught you?
Grad school's teaching me structure.
Okay.
Grad school is not as much grades as undergrad. So
Mm-hmm.
everything about me has to be on point. I can't slip up, can't be half stepping out to be on point with all things that I'm doing. So that's one thing grad school is teaching me is being able to get up, make a plan, stick to it, and execute it.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you have to go to work, you have to go socialize, you have to see your friends and stuff. But some things take priority. But once that deadline is there, professors don't care about, oh, so and so's hired for my job, this and that. That's too bad.
Yeah.
Everybody is each to their own man, their own woman. So what I had to realize is be structured, be organized. And I think taking a year off and then going back to it gave me more time to mature and just teach me how to navigate a little bit more. Because if I would have gone straight, I don't think I would be where I'm at right now,
Yeah.
just maturity wise.
Yeah. Would you say, based on my understanding, just from hearing you talk, being in the biotechnology industry, it's like part in lab, doing lab stuff, and then part writing. Do you guys do a lot of writing? Yeah. Okay.
I feel like a lot of times, a lot of things that I do is communication.
Mm-hmm.
So emails, messages, different things. So I do see that a lot. And I'm grateful for my Spanish, Spanish degree at Georgia Tech because it taught me to be a better communicator for
Yeah.
sure. Because
Okay.
not only you have to think ideas in English, but you had to relay them out of your mouth in Spanish.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good skill to have. Um, what advice would you give a student that wants to study STEM at either level based on your experience?
The advice I would give a student that wants to study STEM, I would say this: find your place in STEM. STEM is such a wide market. Um, you don't want to ever pigeonhole yourself to just something
Mm,
that you think other people are gonna like you to do. No, find what you like to do and then be great at it. And don't let anybody tell you that you can't do it either, because you can. So that's one thing I would say. And then second, that I would say be a learner, be a constant learner. There's always something to learn because when we're complacent,
mm,
we're not feeding ourselves mentally, nothing's ever going to grow from that. You
mhm.
got to keep yourself uplifted mentally. So that comes from affirming yourself, learning, reading up on new things, be an expert in your field. And that's one thing that I would recommend is any student wants to go into STEM, be good at what you do.
Mm. That's good. You actually just inspired me to be an expert in my field because I feel like I can do that better. Like not just what I do, but like reading what's happening in the industry that I'm
Yeah.
in. I think that's good. So that's great advice, Edward. That
And
was so good.
that's that's one thing I realized is I told myself this: tighten up. You already knew what it was when you signed up. Like you already knew. So it's like grad school. I knew it was gonna be rocky. I knew it was gonna be tough. I knew I was going to have to, kind of struggle a little bit
Yeah.
and find my footing the first semester for a good you selected that class, you already knew. So don't even falter, follow through, do what you need to do, and just be good at what you do.
Yeah. Being good at what you do doesn't mean being perfect. It just means progressing. I feel like that, that helps me out because I'm a perfectionist. So I have to tell myself I don't need to be perfect. I just need to get better, you know?
Yeah.
So
And when we're better for those around us, we're better for our communities. We had to be the best versions of ourselves so we can be effective and other people can see us make it. That's the biggest thing.
yeah, that's so important. Oh, that's so good. Okay. So we're gonna pivot slightly. I'll be
All right.
seeing you on Instagram and you have so much positive self-talk, like positivity, positive self-talk, encouraging other people, inspirational words. Has that always been like how you operated in the world, or did you have to get to that place? Or has that just been like a standard Edward trait?
No, it has not always been that way. I had to get to that place. Growing up, I learned the power of affirmations from my parents.
Mhm.
So my mom will always talk about, empowering yourself, affirming yourself, speaking life. The power of life and death is in the tongue.
Come on. Yeah.
So my mom and dad instilled that in me from a very young age of speaking over myself.
Hmm.
And, going through undergrad, struggling, I had to learn how to speak over myself and just say, you know what? You're going to make it. You're capable. You're smart. You're bright. You're able to do all things, not
Hmm.
just something, you're able to do all things. And from there, I said, you know what? If I'm telling myself this, somebody else needs to hear this too.
Hmm.
And when that kind of internal motivation, I would say more like a roar inside of myself to get up, push, because I said, you know what? This level isn't just cutting it.
Yeah.
I wanted more for myself and more for those around me. So I said, you got to be the first to do something, and it creates a chain reaction.
Hmm.
And that's what I started doing was just affirming myself, empowering myself, so other people can do it too.
That is so beautiful. And when did that positive self-talk exude into like public speaking,
Mhm.
Edward? Like at what
I,
point were you like, you know what? I need to, I feel moved to share this on a public platform.
high school, my senior year of high school.
Okay.
Senior high school really was when things jumped off for me. And I said, you know what? I said, I want to become a speaker. I want to speak to different audiences. I started speaking to middle school kids about the power of their education,
Hmm.
knowing their worth, anti-bullying awareness. And then from there, it just kind of augmented more.
Yeah.
And I found my voice and I was able to navigate. And from there, once you start speaking life, you have to continue.
Yeah.
And it's a lifestyle. It's not just, oh, I'm speaking positive for myself once. No, it's a lifestyle. I had to continue speaking life.
Yeah. I'll be seeing you. So incorrect grammar, but I see you when you post like from your different speaking events, and I'd be so proud. I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at Edward doing his thing. But I also like got into speaking at Tech, didn't want to do it. So I didn't feel like called. I didn't feel like, oh, I have positive self-talk. I want to do this. I was asked to be a keynote speaker at an event, but
Yeah.
then I was scared before I started talking, but then I started feeling so comfortable as I was like talking on the stage. Did you feel comfortable immediately, like in high school when you were speaking, or did you get to a point where you like, oh, okay, I'm getting my footing with this?
I'm gonna be real with you. At first, I was nervous, but my stage presence came from church.
Come on.
It came,
Preparation. Everything is preparation.
there's steps to it. So there's literally steps to it. So I became a good speaker based on, growing up in the South, going to
Mm.
church, Easter speeches,
Easter
Christmas.
speeches. I was just gonna say that.
You had to get it right. And in doing different like theater things in the church, I
Mm.
was a theater kid, so I was always attracted to the arts. Um, it really got me right. I learned how to pace myself, how to stand in place, how to fluctuate my voice, even doing some singing in church choir. I learned how to inflex my voice a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but needless to say, that really gave me that foundation.
Yeah. Ah, that's so good. Uh, I was gonna ask how did you like grow your public speaking skills, but I feel like you do it so much. You just kind of get better and better and better, and then you had a strong foundation. So
No, it took time. It took time to build. And I'm still building, I'm still learning different things because old keys can't turn the doors. So I'm still learning. Yeah, I mean,
come
I'm still
on.
learning, still learning different things and how to apply what I know or what I'm learning to where I'm at now.
Yeah.
So just being complacent in one area, okay, you did good, you did that, but what's next for you?
Hmm.
Why are you so focused on what you did this year, looking at what you did last year, all the accolades, everything, but that's it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be it for me.
Yeah. Man, this is so good. Is there like a common theme or message that you always try to push no matter what forum you're speaking in?
I would say self-empowerment,
Self-empowerment.
knowing your worth, knowing your value, what you bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. So important. Um, man, that's so good. I gotta see you speak one day. I'm very excited about this. I'm gonna have to do it.
I I got you. I had to make my way out to Milwaukee. Milwaukee.
Yeah, me, Milwaukee. Don't come right now because it's cold, but in the summertime.
I'm good. I'm good off of that. I saw the news. I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not about it.
Yeah, so you wrote a book. Hold on. We have to
Yeah.
get to this because I have to know from inception of I want to write a book. Where did that like spark come from?
So I was in Woodruff. Yeah, you know Woodruff. Very interesting there.
Yeah.
But it was my first semester at Tech, and I remember just writing,
Mhm.
writing, 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 writing. And then eventually I looked and I said, dang, bro, you got a book. And from there, I recorded my voice, got it transcribed, and then put things together, hired a publicist. And from there, that's where Standing was born.
Man. So you recorded it yourself and like transcribed it yourself and then got a publicist?
No, so there's like different apps and services where you can hire somebody to transcribe. And that's what
Oh,
I did. I hired somebody to transcribe my words. And then from there, after that, I put it together and I got a publicist and we ended up making it happen.
how did you just like Google publicist? Like, how did you find one?
Well, it was a lady from my church. It was a
Oh, the
lady from
Lord, come
That's what
on.
I'm saying. Everything goes back to church. So like I will talk about my upbringing in church. My mom, she's a minister, so it's just like growing up, born and raised in the church, it's just all these talents came to fruition.
You travel a lot. Beautiful places. Give me the top three places that you've been that you like. I love these places.
Okay, for me, wow, this is tough.
I know.
Um,
You so many places.
nah, not even. For me, I would say Costa Rica.
Okay.
Right before I graduated Tech, that August, I went to Costa Rica for a week on a solo trip after I finished my internship,
Mm-hmm.
and I had the time of my life.
Yeah.
And that was my first solo trip ever. Never have done that before. I was scared out of my mind. I did it scared,
Yeah.
did it alone. But once I did that, I felt like I could take on the world.
Yeah.
Walking through the rainforest, got my own cabin in the middle of the rainforest.
You were
Had
by
to go to the.
yourself?
I was by myself
Oh gosh. That's
at the
crazy.
base of the volcano. I was riding horses on the base of a volcano. So I did that, I did it by myself. But when I look back at it, I'm grateful I did that. That taught me that you're not scared of anything.
Yeah.
I
That's
did that. Gambia. My dad's family is from the Gambia, West Africa. But during my time in Gambia, I just had the most awesome time traveling around the country, seeing different sites, seeing different people, learning more of the history of the country. Um, I would say Africa. I recommend Africa to just anybody.
yeah.
And even growing up, half my mom's American, my dad's from Gambia.
Yeah.
Just experiencing that other side of me is my first time in Gambia, but that changed my life
Yeah.
and really shaped my trajectory for the 20s. I felt empowered. Even looking back at pictures, I feel empowered every time I think about my time in Gambia. Lastly, this is tough.
Mhm.
Bree, this is really tough. Colombia.
Mhm. Okay.
Colombia. I went to Cartagena, and one thing about me, I really like culture. So a lot of my time with undergraduate, I spent a lot of time studying Afro-Latino culture.
Hmm.
And in Colombia, I got the time to interact and see that more.
Okay. Okay.
So that was Colombia was just beautiful. I went to the first free town in the Americas called Palenque.
Hmm.
San Basilio del Palenque,
Come
and they
on.
founded it in 1600s. And it was a bunch of freed slaves that went from Cartagena, went from the ports of Cartagena into the mountains, like north of or west of the city.
Okay.
And from there, I saw how they took the settlements that they had in Africa and they created it in this whole town, maybe an hour and 30 minutes outside of Cartagena. I had the time of my life just interacting, seeing people that looked like me
Yeah.
embrace their blackness openly.
Man, that's so beautiful. Last two questions. The first,
Hey,
the first, the first one is, if you could choose any fictional character to be your travel partner, who would it be?
it's a hard one. Um, Dang, I didn't even think. Any fictional travel. travel- Does that have to be a cartoon?
It can be whoever you want.
I'm a big fan of A Different World, so I'd say Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wayne, all the
A
way.
Different World is my favorite show of all time.
I love A Different World, so that's like my favorite So that would be that's like I looked up to him so
Dang.
much, and that's why I wanted to major in STEM too because I was like, oh shoot, he's in STEM, I could do it.
Yes, come on. That's great. Um, okay, last question. You're a student, you're a professional in the biotechnology field, you're a public speaker, you're an author. What advice would you give to someone who feels like they have to choose which of their dreams and aspirations to go for? Someone who feels like they have to pick one part of who they are and they can't explore all the different facets of themselves.
Um, One thing I would say, it's okay to be multifaceted. Don't ever limit yourself to just one box, and don't let anybody put you in a box. Because I felt like oftentimes, oh, I can only be one Edward, I can only be one this. But I say, you know what? I could just be well rounded, but be good at what I do. So don't ever spread myself too thin. But also just making sure that I'm equally balanced in all areas and I'm making progress for me, but not only for me, but for those around me. So talking about community too.
That is so beautiful. Edward, you dropped so many gems, so much good advice. Thank you so much for joining me on the episode today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much for